Okay, I think we're live.
Hello.
So I'm joined by Mike now from West Berkshire Brewery. Thanks so much, Mike, for coming on.
Fine, this one.
Absolutely love the background. Now that isn't a that's not a pretend like Zoom background, is it? Where you've like
No, they're all fermenters. That's fine.
well, that's amazing. So tell us where you are.
So I am currently in the cellar of West Berkshire Brewery, where I work. We are predictably based in West Berkshire, in a little village called Yattenden. We've been running for 25 years now. 1995,
Oh, wow.
we were opened by Dave and Ellen Maggs, and as more of a sort of malt forward, traditional cask ale sort of brewery, and very quickly got a very local, loyal following.
Yeah,
that love that sort of traditional cask ale sort of thing. All sorts of styles as well, not just all like malty stuff, but light and hoppy stuff as well. And it started tiny in the back of a pub somewhere, and just gradually,
like all the best plans.
yeah. But just gradually over the years, expanding every few years, and we're still in Yattenden. We're still in the same local area, and we still got a lot of the family roots. So Dave and Helen are both retired now, but their son Griff still works here. He's still a force to be reckoned with.
Amazing. So what's your role at the brewery?
So I do work brew side. I've done brewing. Mostly, most of the team at the moment is doing a lot of packaging and cellaring, as well. That's just one of the consequences of the lockdown that we're all in.
Yeah. Well, before we get into the lockdown, and we'll end up having a 20-minute conversation about the logistics of that. But should we open the beer? Should we try some of the beer?
Yes. Well, mine's already opened.
Yeah, I've got mine as well. So I've got the can, and you've got the bottle.
You tell me most people will have a can, not a bottle.
I guess. Yeah, I'm not sure. It'd be interesting, actually, if people can write in the comments what they've got, because we've heard, we were talking, the bottle is well, do you want to what happened?
Yeah. So just a slight error on the packaging line means that a few of them are slightly more carbonated than we had anticipated, is one way of putting it. So another way is just open it gently, just in case it's one of those.
Okay, all right. So yeah, well, that's a given, isn't it? Usually we've got to be careful now, especially anything going through the post. We've got to be careful. So cheers. Anyway, that's.
Cheers. Oh, I've got a little glass as well.
I absolutely love the branding. Like that is something that I'm sure you get told all the time. Everywhere I've read people talking how much they love the packaging on it.
Yeah,
where does it come from? What's the?
Well, we have had a traditional core range for a long time, and it's only been in the past year that we've sort of been tweaking around with things, changing up what is and what isn't going to be in the core range, and one of those consequences is that we have been playing around with branding a bit, and so we've got stuff like the Solo range. We've also got Detour, which is just a sort of hoppy pale ale, and Stony Lane, which we did a sort of Czech style pilsner, and put a lot of effort into the branding there, and they do all really look the part, and different from the more traditional core range that is more
you still got that sort of core sort of real ale branding. Don't want to that the locals know what they're looking for. And
our sort of flagship best bitter is called Good Old Boy, and that sells incredibly well.
I used to live in Reading, so I
nice.
I lived in Reading for a couple of years, so, and that was in my drinking days as well, so I've had a few of those. This love the branding. It's so sort of recognizable, and there's nothing really else like it that I've seen. That's great. Tell us a bit about the beer then. It's we're drinking the peach, aren't we?
So yes, this is Solo Peach. We've got 3 beers in the range. So we've got Solo is just the sort of standard beer. That's just light and hoppy, refreshing, easygoing, smashable, that type of thing. Solo Peach is similar to that, but with a strong peach flavor that makes it sort of a bit more sort of sweeter and rounder and more aromatic in a peachy stone fruit kind of way. And then we do a lager as well. All of them 0.5%.
Yeah. How's the sort of the non-alcoholic, how are they going down with the more traditional real ale drinkers?
We made the decision to only do it in small packs, so we've not done any kegs. Even like we wouldn't be doing kegs at the moment anyway because of the lockdown. Yeah. But even pre-lockdown, we weren't doing any kegs. Just being unsure as to whether or not bars would take a keg of a non-alcoholic beer is a bit of an ask. Whereas cans and bottles have been doing really well, even in our own tap room. As I mentioned, we are in a village and there's not exactly great public transport links.
Okay.
It normally means that there's one person driving in every group.
Okay, yeah.
And so especially this one and the standard Solo, they've been doing really well in the tap room before lockdown.
Yeah. So what? So how has the lockdown affected like business? Is it? Obviously, you got the tap room. Is that still operating, or?
The tap room's become more of a distribution hub for the online orders. The online orders have just skyrocketed.
I bet.
But the consequence of large pack stuff going down. The one advantage we have here is we invested a few years ago in a very good packaging line, and so for small pack for cans and bottles, and that's been non-stop these past few weeks. Everyone's been doing long days because we've been packaging not only for us but for other people.
Oh right.
Yeah, the supermarkets are so hungry for small pack beers that everyone's desperate to put their stuff in cans and bottles. So
wow, so doing all right out of it then at the moment.
yeah, tiring but good. Yeah.
Oh, good. And what about the brewing itself? Like, are you able to do that socially distant? Are you able? How does that?
Yeah, luckily we got a lot of space here, so it's quite easy to sort of work around people. But the brewing is still happening. Obviously, we're only brewing for stuff that we sell ourselves rather than we do sell some things to the supermarkets. So, as I say, our core range stuff, Good Old Boys, going out to Waitrose and stuff like that. But you know, all the kegs and cask beers have all dried up. So,
of course, well, hopefully that will turn around soon. Do you think can you see a time where you assuming soon that the pubs and bars open, where you could potentially get your non-alcoholic range in kegs? Can you see Can you see a market for that, either locally or sort of nationally?
I'm a big fan of that idea. It's the sales team you'd have to try and persuade. But no, I've always been very aware of the fact that there are a lot of people that like the experience of going to the pub, and not everyone can or wants to drink alcohol.
Yeah.
And that there's been a lot of social pressure over the years to either drink alcohol or not come to the pub.
Yeah.
And I really like that the tide is gradually turning on that. And I think it's good. You would start to see it, I think, more in either pubs in the middle of nowhere. So like our tap room would potentially do it.
Of course, because of the driving.
Yeah. Or places right in the middle of very, very busy metropolitan areas, like you had that Brewdog bar. That when there's 100 places to choose from, you might choose the one place that does alcohol-free beer on keg.
Out
of all the other 99, you know.
That's I think a lot of people would agree with you there. I think that's personally, my friends, they don't mind going to a different, to not their favorite pub if they know that there's the option for if a couple of people don't want to drink, then they can, there's that option.
Yeah.
But like you say, at the moment, outside of sort of London, there isn't really much. You can't find it. I reckon it's up to you guys to make stands. You got to start it off in the tap room, see how it goes.
Yeah. I'm game, but it's
yeah. Which has been the most popular out of the three so far? Is it?
I think just the standard solo.
Was that the first one you put out? The standard solo.
Yes, yeah. So that is just a well hopped pale ale, alcohol free. So very crisp, clean malt base, and you've got dry hop additions there. Big C hops like Chinook and Citra, giving it that sort of lemon and pine and grapefruit and really big hitting. But one of the other things we found is that a few of the older style non-alcoholic beers can tend to be quite sweet and cloying.
Yes, yeah.
And like you get that almost like grainy cereal mouthfeel.
Yeah.
And so having a drier, hoppier finish, especially when it's fresh, is just it's so refreshing, and it's really easy to drink quickly.
It's exactly what people are crying out for as well. Like fed up of the Big Drop guys saying it before, like fed up of just the rubbish that you had to put up with.
Yeah.
With more and more people now turning to the lower percentage beers, like the quality has to be so good. And I think it is amazing that you've got three as well. Like I think that to see a traditional brewery not only making a non-alcoholic beer, but to put a whole range out, I think people have taken to that very positively, and I think and like that's why I think again, like if you can do that, you can push the kegs and make another trip down to Reading.
yeah. Oh, there is one place in Reading that is really good for non-alcoholic beers. Once the lockdown's finished, to go to the Nag's Head on Russell Street. They don't have anything on keg. That's fair. Before lockdown, obviously, they don't have anything on keg, but they did have the biggest bottle range I'd ever seen. Non-alcoholic beer. And disclaimer, I did used to work there, so there's a little bit of a conflict of interest there.
That was my go-to. For the couple of years I was in Reading, that was my go-to. And then when I stopped drinking, I could still go back there because I think I posted a few pictures of they have the menu in there, and it's got there's like 2 pages full of non-alcoholic beers. And
started with one, and then it became so popular we had to double-side it.
It's so good. And they're not the only ones who are doing that at the moment. Like it would be foolish for a bar or a pub not to carry that now, because you just look so out of date. It'd be interesting to see what happens when we go back. What the sort of what people's appetite will be to go back to drinking and drinking. I don't know.
You've obviously had a bit of a change of habits, and so some people will have almost stopped drinking entirely, and some people presumably drink a bit more because they don't have to drive anymore.
Yeah.
Have
to wait and see.
But the Nag's Head is where I got introduced to Big Drop as well. So I'm gutted I missed the Big Drop talk. I'd love to see that. But
they're great, and they shed a lot of light on not just their brewery, but the sort of non-alcoholic beer world as it is as well. Do you have much sort of contact beyond? Have you sort of looked in beyond your own non-alcoholic beers? Are you aware of what else is going on? Do you keep your finger on the pulse of like potential competition?
Yeah, I personally do. I fish out Big Drop stuff whenever I see it. There was a little beer festival in London, I think February time, where we had a stand, they had a stand, and they had an amazing, I think it was a hazelnut porter. And it was, and they had it on keg as well. I presume it was a special one-off, and that was it obviously alcohol free, but it was honestly one of the highlights of the entire festival.
Wow.
It was just so much flavor, so big and round, and yeah.
Yeah, well, they were saying, I guess it's the same for you. Like they were saying that they don't want to make a great alcohol-free beer. They want to make a great beer which is alcohol-free.
Yeah.
And yeah, so where did the idea? When did it start? When did you start seeing sort of the patterns where you thought, right, we need to, or we want to start brewing these non-alcoholic beers? When did that?
I don't know exactly, but I think it's just a case of noticing that the tide is turning a little bit on that, and the stigma that used to come with non-alcoholic beers is starting to dwindle, and just basically experimenting around with it in the pilot kit and finding something that worked really well. So we decided to just pursue that. There are several different methods of making a non-alcoholic beer, whether that's, so some people make a beer where there's no fermentation. Some people make a beer, like make a full beer and then take the alcohol out. We've chosen that sort of middle ground where you make a beer that ferments just a bit, just enough to get that 0.5%.
Yeah.
And that removes some of those flavors that you get where it does taste like cereal, and it does taste that sort of stodgy sweet, because we do use actual grain, and we use a lot of adjuncts as well that sort of give it that bigger mouthfeel and make it feel big.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have a look, see if we've got any questions. Oh, people. So people have the opportunity. They're right. It's all going live on YouTube now, and people really are loving it. They've got a few people. They've got a range. They've been sent a range of different ones, and yeah, loving it. They got the Solo is a lovely beer to end the night on. Really tasty.
Nice.
Yeah, this is great. So yeah, it seems to be going down well. And like I said, I love the cans, I love the bottles, I love the branding, and then yeah, the flavors are there as well. So any plans, any future plans for more beers, or is it just a case of see what happens and upscale it potentially?
I think, as you say, like things are going to be different when pubs come back, and if there is genuinely a big appetite for this type of thing, like we went from nothing to 3 beers quite quickly. So how easy is it going to be to make more? Like, could be, it might not be. I don't know. Like Big Drop have done a great job. Many others, and I'm quite excited to see where it goes.
Definitely, yeah. Like I say, I think it's brilliant that you've made you've made the sort of to put 3 beers out there. It's a real statement, and they're going down well. So can't really ask so much more. Do you well, we were speaking before about you do a podcast as well. So do you want to give that a quick plug before we go? Because I'm sure there'll be people interested.
Yes. Yeah, so you won't see my face, but if you want to hear more of my voice, I do a podcast with another home brewer. So it is a homebrew podcast, but I started it before I started working here. But it's me and another guy. Each week we look at a different style and brew that style, talk about the recipe, get into the type of depths that you might want to as a home brewer. But if you're interested in beer, then it's also worth a listen. It is called By the Mash Tun.
By the Mash Tun, okay.
By the Mash Tun.
Nice. And maybe at some point, an alcohol-free version of that.
Yeah, we're really keen. For years now we've been like, it's on the slate. We'll do a non-alcoholic beer at some point, but I think we were waiting for the right guest to come and show us exactly how to do it. So
I reckon drop the Big Drop guys a message. See,
Wow, we'd love to.
There's plenty. All this weekend they've got another 9 guests, all non-alcoholic brewers and stuff. So yeah, take a pick from there.
Yeah, I'm gonna go back and watch the others and keep an eye on the new ones.
Nice.
Look for any tips.
Where can people get your beers from? If they want
So
to find the others.
if you're looking for these beers here, the solo range, not just the peach one, but the other two, we have our web store, wbbrew.co.uk, I think, or .com. Just search for West Berkshire Brewery.
But you got a shop. You got your own shop online.
We've got our own shop, yeah, and we do regular deliveries all around. But if you're looking for more of a traditional ale, then yeah, many supermarkets stock our good old boy and that type of thing. So
nice, cool. Oh, well, thank you so much for joining, and yeah, and cheers again. I really appreciate it. I absolutely. Yeah. I love that you've done it from the brewery. It's a great touch. I don't know whether you'll be you might be the only one. But we'll have to wait and see. But
sorry, because I was working late. That's.
I don't. What will happen is now you'll get up and it'll just be the Zoom, will just be the green screen, and we'll give the whole thing away. We can hear it in the background, so no. It's,
yeah. Oh, can you? Oh, I should turn that alarm off. Oh dear.
There's thank you so much, and yeah, enjoy the rest of the weekend if you get to catch any more of it.
Will do.
Yeah, take care and best of luck with the future.
Yes, cheers. Enjoy.
Cheers.